Here's a startling fact that might save your sleep and possibly your life. Nearly 40% of people over 60 experience nighttime coughing that disrupts their rest, yet most dismiss it as just getting older. What they don't realize is that this seemingly innocent bedtime cough could be masking serious underlying issues, from silent heart problems to dangerous sleep disorders that steal years from your life. But here's what really should concern you. That persistent cough when you lie down isn't just annoying. It's your body sending you an urgent message, and the conventional treatments most doctors recommend, they're often missing the real cause entirely, sometimes making the problem worse. I'm going to share with you 6 hidden reasons why you're coughing at bedtime, starting with the most common and working our way to the most shocking discovery that could change everything about how you sleep. But here's the thing. Number 2 on this list involves a condition so misunderstood that millions of seniors are suffering needlessly. And number 1, it's a simple hack that works so well, you'll wonder why no one ever told you about it before. Before we dive in, I'm curious about your experience. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from and whether you or someone you know deals with nighttime coughing. Your stories help others realize they're not alone in this struggle. Let's start with number 6, and this one affects nearly every person over 60 in some way. It's called postnasal drip, and it's the sneaky culprit behind countless sleepless nights. Here's what happens. Throughout the day, your nose and sinuses produce about a quart of mucus. That's normal and healthy. But as we age, this drainage system becomes less efficient, like an old pipe that doesn't clear as well as it used to. When you lie flat at night, gravity stops helping, and all that mucus pools in your throat instead of draining properly. Research from major medical centers shows that over 70% of chronic nighttime coughs in older adults stem from this postnasal drip issue. The mucus irritates your throat tissues, triggering that persistent cough reflex that kicks in the moment your head hits the pillow. Meet Sarah, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. She'd been coughing every night for months, keeping both her and her husband awake. She tried cough drops, throat sprays, even expensive prescription medications. Nothing worked. The problem wasn't in her lungs at all. It was the invisible river of mucus sliding down her throat each night. Within 3 days of addressing the drainage issue properly, Sarah was sleeping through the night again. So what's the fix? First, elevate your head and shoulders, not just with extra pillows, but with a proper wedge that keeps your entire upper body at a 15 to 20 degree angle. This helps gravity do its job even when you're lying down. Second, use a saline rinse about an hour before bed. Mix half a teaspoon of sea salt and 8 ounces of warm distilled water. Tilt your head over the sink and gently flush each nostril. This clears the excess mucus before it can pool overnight. But here's where it gets more serious. And this leads us to number 5. Your nighttime cough might actually be your heart crying for help. And most people never connect these dots. It's called cardiac cough, and it's one of the earliest warning signs of heart failure that doctors often miss. When your heart isn't pumping efficiently, fluid backs up into your lungs. This happens gradually, so you don't notice it during the day when you're upright and moving around. But at night, when you lie flat, that excess fluid shifts and puts pressure on your airways, triggering a persistent dry cough. Studies tracking older adults have found that unexplained nighttime coughing can precede a heart failure diagnosis by months or even years. The cough is often described as dry, hacking, and worst when lying flat. Sometimes people notice they need to prop themselves up with more pillows just to breathe comfortably. Frank, a 68-year-old mechanic, thought his nighttime cough was just from years of working around engines and dust. His wife kept telling him to see a doctor, but Frank figured it was just part of getting older. The cough got worse over several months, and he started feeling more tired during the day. When he finally went for a checkup, tests revealed early heart failure. Catching it early meant treatment could prevent serious complications. Within weeks of starting proper heart medication, his nighttime cough disappeared completely. If your cough is dry, gets worse when lying flat, and you've noticed increased fatigue or swollen ankles, don't wait. Ask your doctor about a simple blood test called BNP or NT-proBNP. These markers can detect heart problems before they become dangerous. Early intervention with heart failure can add years to your life and dramatically improve your sleep quality. The protocol here isn't something you handle alone. This requires medical evaluation. But while you're waiting for your appointment, sleep with your upper body elevated and monitor any swelling in your legs or feet. Keep a simple log of when the cough is worst and any other symptoms you notice. Now let's talk about number 4. And this one involves a medication that over half of people over 60 take daily. Blood pressure medications, specifically ACE inhibitors, cause a persistent dry cough in up to 20% of people who take them. The cough typically develops within weeks of starting the medication or increasing the dose. And it's often worse at night when you're lying down and more aware of the irritation. Here's the mechanism in plain English. ACE inhibitors work by blocking an enzyme that constricts blood vessels. That's good for your blood pressure. But the same enzyme also breaks down a substance called bradykinin. When you block the enzyme, bradykinin builds up and irritates your airways, causing that dry, tickling cough that seems to come from nowhere. Medical analyses show this cough affects women more than men and tends to be more common in people of Asian descent, though it can happen to anyone. The frustrating part is that the cough can persist for weeks or even months after stopping the medication. Eleanor, a 75-year-old grandmother, started coughing about 3 weeks after her doctor increased her lisinopril dose. The cough was worst at bedtime and would keep her awake for hours. She tried every over-the-counter remedy with no relief. Her pharmacist asked about her recent medication changes, and that's when the connection became clear. Her doctor switched her to a different class of blood pressure medication called an ARB, which works similarly but doesn't cause the cough. Within 2 weeks, Eleanor was sleeping peacefully again. If you're taking an ACE inhibitor and experiencing a new dry cough, don't just suffer through it or try to mask it with cough suppressants. Talk to your doctor about switching to an ARB medication like losartan or valsartan. These work just as well for blood pressure but bypass the enzyme that causes coughing. Never stop blood pressure medication on your own, but do bring up this possibility at your next visit. The timeline matters here. If your cough started within a few months of starting or changing blood pressure medication, this could very well be the culprit. Here's where things get really interesting, and we're moving into number 3 territory. Acid reflux at night creates a perfect storm for coughing, and it's happening to your airways in ways you probably never imagined. This isn't the obvious heartburn that burns your chest. This is silent reflux that creeps up while you sleep and irritates your throat and airways without you even knowing it's happening. When you lie flat, stomach acid has an easier path upward, especially if you've eaten within 3 hours of bedtime. The acid doesn't just irritate your esophagus. It can reach your throat and even aspirate into your lungs in microscopic amounts, triggering a protective cough reflex that can wake you up or keep you awake for hours. Sleep studies have shown that people over 60 produce less saliva at night, and saliva is nature's acid neutralizer. We also have weaker lower esophageal sphincters as we age, meaning that muscular valve that keeps stomach contents down doesn't seal as tightly as it used to. Robert, a 64-year-old retired accountant, couldn't figure out why he'd wake up coughing around 2 or 3 in the morning several nights a week. He never had heartburn during the day and rarely felt any chest burning. His doctor suggested he might have silent reflux. Robert started eating his last meal at least 4 hours before bed and began sleeping with his upper body elevated. He also started taking a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in water with his dinner to help his stomach produce adequate acid for proper digestion. The nighttime coughing stopped within a week. Here's your protocol. Stop eating at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. If you must have a bedtime snack, make it something alkaline like a small banana or a few almonds. Elevate your head and shoulders while sleeping, and consider a small amount of apple cider vinegar with your evening meal to optimize stomach acid levels. Paradoxically, many people over 60 actually have too little stomach acid, not too much, which can cause food to ferment and create more reflux problems. Avoid late-night alcohol, chocolate, caffeine, and spicy foods. These relax the esophageal sphincter and make reflux more likely. But here's the kicker. Sometimes the most obvious solutions are staring us right in the face. And that brings us to number 2. The one you won't believe until you try it yourself. Dry air is literally stealing moisture from your respiratory system every single night, turning your airways into a desert landscape that triggers constant coughing. Most homes, especially during heating season, have humidity levels below 30%. Your respiratory system needs humidity between 40 and 60% to function properly. Here's what happens in dry air. The tiny hairs in your nose and throat, called cilia, are designed to sweep mucus and irritants away from your lungs. When the air is too dry, these protective mechanisms literally dry up and stop working effectively. Your throat tissues become irritated and inflamed, triggering that persistent cough reflex. Large-scale studies of indoor quality have found that low humidity environments increase respiratory symptoms in older adults by up to 40%. The problem is worse in winter when heating systems strip even more moisture from the air, and it's compounded by the fact that our bodies produce less natural moisture as we age. Martha, a 70-year-old retired nurse, had been coughing every night for 2 years. She'd seen multiple doctors, tried prescription medications, and even had extensive lung testing. Everything came back normal, yet she couldn't sleep through the night without coughing fits. Her daughter suggested she try a humidifier in her bedroom. Martha was skeptical, thinking it was too simple to work. She bought a basic cool mist humidifier and ran it for 3 nights. The difference was remarkable. For the first time in 2 years, Martha slept 8 hours without coughing once. Your humidity protocol is straightforward but crucial. Get a digital hygrometer to measure your bedroom humidity. They cost less than $10. Aim for 45 to 55% humidity. Use a cool mist humidifier rather than warm mist, as cool mist is safer and less likely to harbor bacteria. Clean your humidifier every 3 days with white vinegar to prevent mold and bacteria buildup. Place the humidifier at least 3 feet from your bed so you're not breathing directly into the mist stream. If you don't want to invest in a humidifier right away, try placing a bowl of water near your heating vent or radiator. Though this is much less effective, you can test this theory tonight. Before bed, spend 2 minutes breathing steam from a hot shower or lean over a bowl of hot water with a towel over your head. If your nighttime cough improves after inhaling that moisture, dry air is definitely part of your problem. Now we're at number 1. The game changer that works so well almost seems too good to be true. The secret is in your sleeping position, but not in the way you think. Most people try to prop up their head with extra pillows, which actually makes coughing worse by creating an unnatural bend in your neck that compresses your airways. The real solution involves supporting your entire upper body and using gravity to your advantage. Here's the science behind why this works so incredibly well. When you lie completely flat, several things happen simultaneously that promote coughing. Mucus pools in your throat instead of draining. Blood flow to your lungs increases, which can trigger coughing in sensitive airways. Stomach acid has an easier path upward, and your diaphragm is compressed, making it harder to take deep, satisfying breaths. But when you elevate your entire upper body at the proper angle, between 15 and 30 degrees, you reverse all of these problems at once. Mucus drains naturally, acid stays where it belongs, your lungs have more room to expand, and your airways stay clear and comfortable all night long. Sleep researchers have found that this simple position change reduces nighttime coughing by up to 80% in older adults. Regardless of the underlying cause, it works for postnasal drip, reflux, heart-related coughing, and even medication-induced coughs. Dorothy, a 69-year-old retired librarian, had tried everything for her nighttime cough: medications, throat sprays, Diet changes. Nothing worked. Her sleep had been disrupted for over a year, and she was exhausted during the day. A friend told her about sleeping in a recliner, but Dorothy's back couldn't handle that. Instead, she invested in a proper adjustable bed base. The first night she elevated her upper body to about 20 degrees. She slept for 7 straight hours without a single cough. She was amazed that something so simple could be so effective. Here's your step-by-step protocol. If you don't have an adjustable bed, you can create the same effect with a foam wedge designed for sleeping. Look for one that's at least 7 inches high at the thick end and extends from your head to about mid-back. This creates the gradual incline you need without straining your neck. Alternatively, you can raise the head of your entire bed by placing blocks or risers under the bed frame legs. Raise it about 6 to 8 inches. This tilts your whole sleeping surface, which is more comfortable than trying to sleep on a wedge. If you're handy, you can create a temporary version tonight. Place pillows or folded blankets under your mattress at the head end to create a gentle slope. The key is supporting your entire torso, not just your head and neck. Some people worrying that sleeping elevated will be uncomfortable or cause back problems. Start with a gentler incline, maybe just 4 or 5 inches, and gradually increase it over a week until you find your sweet spot. Most people adjust within a few nights and find they actually sleep better overall. The beauty of this solution is that it works regardless of what's causing your cough. Whether it's mucus drainage, acid reflux, heart issues, or dry air, gravity becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Try this position change tonight, and pay attention to how different your breathing feels when you first lie down. Many people notice immediate relief, even before falling asleep. Here's something fascinating about how our bodies adapt. When you sleep elevated consistently, your respiratory system actually becomes more efficient over time. Your natural drainage improves, your diaphragm strengthens, and many people find they need less elevation as their symptoms improve. This isn't just about stopping a cough. It's about reclaiming the deep, restorative sleep that your body needs to repair itself, strengthen your immune system, and keep your mind sharp. Quality sleep after 60 in a luxury. It's essential for maintaining your independence and enjoying your years ahead. Remember, if your nighttime cough persists despite trying these approaches, or if it's accompanied by fever, blood, or severe breathing difficulties, see a doctor promptly. But for the majority of people dealing with bedtime coughing, these 6 solutions address the most common causes and can restore peaceful nights. The combination approach often works best. Use proper sleeping position as your foundation. Add humidity control. Address any medication-related causes, and manage reflux and drainage issues. Think of it as creating the perfect environment for your respiratory system to rest and recover. Your sleep matters more than you might realize. Poor sleep accelerates aging, weakens your immune system, and increases your risk of falls and cognitive decline. By solving your nighttime cough, you're not just getting better rest, you're investing in your long-term health and independence. Sometimes the most powerful health improvements come from the simplest changes. You don't need expensive treatments or complicated medical procedures. You need to work with your body's natural systems and give them the support they need to function properly. Which of these approaches resonates most with your situation? And what will you try first tonight to reclaim your peaceful sleep?